Hey, what's up guys? So we're here to go over all the new updates and patch notes and changes, and there are so many huge changes to this game that I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't know about, in addition to obviously having a new hero, which you guys are seeing gameplay of over here. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop right into the patch notes, and I'll post my source down below in case any of you guys do want to read everything. But anyways, first off, there's a new weapon, the LMG. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know about it, the L-Star EMG. But it's only available in airdrops. Usually you'll see this in the early game as far as the airdrops come out. But in addition to that, there are a lot of new other items that I did want to go over with you guys, and other effects that you guys probably didn't even know about. So first off, there is a new hop-up, which is basically an attachment that you can put. It's called the Disruptor Rounds. It increases damage to shielded targets. It's only available for the alternator or the RE45, which is the little pistol, and I think overall it's a pretty great attachment. Obviously you gotta find the attachment, but the alternator also got another buff. We're talking some extra damage here. There's also these hammer point rounds, which will increase damage to unshielded targets, but it's only available on the P2020, which is the pistol, and the Mozambique, which you know, no one really likes to carry towards the end of the game. But if you happen to have one late game, I guess you're going to be able to do extra damage to unshielded targets. There's also a change. These are energy attachments for energy weapons, and so it's going to increase the magazine capacity. But it also does another thing. It increases reload speed at rare and above, and those are for the Havoc, the Triple Take, and the Devotion. Also, they reduce the default mag size on all of these weapons. So basically they start off being technically worse in the very beginning before, but now they're going to be better in the late game if you happen to have the attachments. And then also the Skull Piercer basically took a nerf in its drop rate for two different areas here. So it's upgraded to gold tier, and gold tier items will be spawning less, and on top of that they increase the rarity, so it's going to be much harder to find. But there's also some changes here with the flatline. I've actually really enjoyed this gun. That is like the AK variant in this game. So it used to do 16 damage, and now it does 19 damage. There's also a gold variant that you can now pick up that will actually have a optic attachment. And then also there is the P2020 and damage of 1. You guys might think that 1 damage isn't that big of a deal, but against certain heroes, this can actually mean the difference between an extra shot needing to land in the very beginning of the game. Again, depending on their HP, as well as what they have potentially with a helmet, which is another thing I want to get into, because there are some pretty big changes to two of the heroes in the game. And then also the Triple Take and the Persistent Choke, the choke time went from 1.5 to 1.1. And then the Alternator, the damage is increased by 2. And again, when you're thinking only 2 damage, you might not think it's huge, but when you multiply it with the headshot multiplier, and most of the guns, with the exception of the shotguns, will have a 2x multiplier, and the Sniper actually got a huge buff, and it actually has a bigger multiplier now. But basically, they also buffed up the alternate again, and they increased the recoil mitigation for all barrel attachments. Then this is where we get into something interesting. The Kraber or Kraber sniper rifle, the base damage has been increased from 125 to 145. The headshot scale has actually been increased from 2.0 to 2.05. And then also the leg damage scale has been increased by 0.04, and they increase the rarity, so it's going to be harder to drop. But basically, to sum this up, there's actually a pretty important thing. That's why I made a little chart over here explaining this. So there will be two different things that you will see on websites. Some websites will say that the helmets will reduce the damage by a different number, and I'll explain that. So if you go to the basically the wiki page for the helmets, it'll say that the level 1 reduces it by 10%, level 2 will reduce it by 20%, and the level 3 will reduce it by 25%, and the legendary one, they do the same thing as the epic one. So it's 25% damage reduction, but you get that bonus fast charge. But then a lot of people always mention this, that there's other websites that say it's up to 50% damage reduction. And while that's not necessarily wrong, it's not really that accurate for most players, because they don't want to do like the math here. So Chad Armstrong, which is a guy that works on Apex Legends, he tweeted this out a while ago. That's why some websites will say that there is a 30% reduction. But then later on he goes to clarify the bonus damage is getting reduced, not the total damage. So basically he retweeted out, and this is why some websites will say 10, 20, and 25% damage reduction. We're going to use the 10, 20, and 25% because it's a lot easier to mathematically sort it out over here. I made this little chart just so it's easier for a lot of you guys, because you're like, well, okay, just tell me, like, is the sniper gonna one-shot now? And the answer is yes, depending on who you're shooting, because Gibraltar actually got a buff here. Gibraltar and Caustic, the big boys of the game, they have a damage reduction of 15%. It used to be 10%, but now with Season 2's new update, they've made it so they take 15% damage reduction. Regardless of if it's multiplicative or if it's an additive number, you guys can see if you're a Gibraltar and you happen to have a purple or higher helmet, you will not get one-shotted with the new buffs. But if you're running just like a 200 HP hero, let's use Mirage for an example here at the very bottom of my little chart that I made, and you have no helmet, it'll deal 297.25. Keep in mind this game won't say 0.25, it basically will round up, but basically you're getting one-shotted. Now, the big change right here is with the base damage plus the multiplier, even if you happen to have a purple helmet with Mirage or any 200 HP hero, or technically now, you will be taking more damage if you are playing certain other heroes, and we'll get into that in a second. But basically, 200 HP heroes will get one-shotted, regardless if they have a helmet or not. But Gibraltar and Caustic won't. The two numbers that you see at the very top, that 178 and the 189, I'm not sure if this game is going to use the helmet, and the new damage reduction that Gibraltar or Caustic get is a multiplicative or an additive. But it doesn't matter. The thing that you guys care about is you will not get one-shotted by the new sniper if you are playing Gibraltar or Caustic and you have a purple or higher helmet, and you actually happen to have the purple armor or higher. But that's just basically to sum it up over here, because I think that that is a pretty big change for the sniper rifle. So overall, the sniper has been buffed, and then obviously it has less damage reduction on the legs as well. They also changed the arc star, so basically you have a small extra 0.3 seconds to kind of get away, or if you arc star your own teammate and they go ahead and go in, you have extra time, so that sets up better, you know, timing plays if you want to stick your own teammate, which is always hilarious. In fact, you guys are seeing the L-Star, which is the new gun that they also added in the gameplay right now. But in addition to that, sticking a full health player with no armor will instantly down them, which is obviously pretty good. So if you know you can stick someone, especially early on in the game. This is the most important part with the Arc Star new changes. Is basically if you open up a chest and all you get is an Arc Star, if you just go up to someone point blank and you stick them, they're down, which is actually pretty good. And it says players at the edge of the explosion will no longer get their shields completely shredded. So basically less damage on, I would want to say range on the Arc Star. And then also, shotguns took a huge nerf with this change over here. So you'll see it says shotgun max stack reduced from 64 to 16. Players now need multiple stacks of ammo to run a shotty. It's more so like more properly. A lot of times you just carry one stack of 64 with a shotgun and you'd basically be good to go to utilize your inventory for other things. But now with this new change, basically they're nerfed a lot. And it also says energy max stack increased from 60 to 80, now matches with light and heavy ammo. But technically you would say, oh, this is just straight up a buff. But remember that the guns will actually hold less early on, so it's kind of to mitigate some of that new change. So overall, there's not really a change in the ammo size for the energy weapons early on, but later on it becomes a better buff. And they also rotated the gold weapons. You can get a gold Mozambique now, which is hilarious. I haven't found one myself, but if you guys have used it, let me know how you guys feel about the gold Mozambique. Is it actually going to be that much better? Keep in mind, it will have those extra new attachments, which will deal more damage against players that do not have shields. P2020 also has that buff. But also, the L-Star is added to the weapon loot tables, which you guys saw me use in the gameplay here. It's not honestly that OP. If you're up close, it will definitely shred, but it's a non-hit scan weapon, so against someone that's super far away, good luck trying to land all your shots on it. Anyways, they also mentioned that for early game, it'll spawn more crabbers, or cravers, the sniper, and the end game will spawn more masses. But I honestly see way more L-Stars than anything. It might be because the item is new and they're just trying to let everyone try out the weapon, so that might be just something that's in the game right now. And then they also changed a few optimizations and bug fixes. I'm not going to go ahead and go over all of those bugs unless I felt like they were like super big, but the most important one is the EVA 8, which is the auto shotty. The ADS recoil now resettles back to starting point instead of a randomized offset of the starting point. If you guys didn't know, the EVA 8 actually fires in the shape of an 8, but basically it resettles back to a starting point. So that's a small change over there. There's a small bug with the thermite grenade. Again, if you want to read everything, I'll link it down below, but I'm not going to go over like the bugs because a lot of them are like so small that it won't really change things. But this will change things, and this is, again, Gibraltar and Caustic only. They have damage reduction that is increased. So basically, they will be taking less damage in the game now. So the damage reduction, it used to be 10%, but with this new update, it's 15%. And this is actually pretty big. This could be a huge deal, again, depending on what gun you are technically using. And technically with a Havoc, there's a range difference. But anyways, to really sum it up over here, they're just buffed up. And then in addition to that, Fortified Legends, which is Gibraltar and Caustic, are now immune to slow effects from weapon fighters. So this can make them more difficult to hit because technically if they're not going to be slowed down, their strafe speed is going to be better. If you guys have tried Gibraltar and Caustic this season, let me know. I still see very, very little Caustic and Gibraltar compared to the other characters, which you guys probably already play a lot of, which is Wraith, Lifeline, and Pathfinder. These are very, very popular because of their very tiny hitbox. But because of that, it says the increased the incoming damage by 5%. So basically, they just take more damage. Again, this is a small change, but one bullet can make a huge difference. So if you're noticing that you're getting melted, it can be because you're taking that extra 5% damage. And again, that usually translates to like one or two bullets, depending on the gun, depending on your HP, and also if there's headshots involved or not. Again, that small change over there for Gibraltar and Caustic could make a difference. One bullet. Also, Bloodhound also got changed over here. So Eye of the Allfather. Enemies scanned are now tracked in real time instead of leaving a ghost image behind. So that's just straight up buff. The tracking lasts for 1.5 seconds. They increased the angle of the scan from 110 to 90. I think that it doesn't really make sense. So yeah, I'd say basically it's just wider if that wants to make more sense. So overall, just straight up small little buff over there. Then also Tracker increased clue duration to 90 seconds from 60 seconds, so that's just like the past where you can find out where people are. So overall, I would say that's overall a buff. And they also fixed a bug where energy weapons wouldn't leave behind fired weapon clues. So that's just, again, a bug fix. And then there's another bug movement where they would not be generated. Again, small stuff. But Mirage also got a buff over here, and he can now cancel out of his ultimate cloak early, and he now has a small delay when disabling cloak. So overall, I would say this is a buff to Mirage. Caustic, this is a buff for your teammates. So if you have a Caustic on your team, you can go through the gas, and it's going to reduce the slow. The magnitude slow is reduced by 50% when affecting only the teammates. So overall, buff to more so the teammates that have a Caustic on the team. Then Gibraltar, the dome increased duration by 3 seconds over there. So that's pretty cool. And then they're saying they're updating the Pathfinder hitbox. But if you guys are running some of the legendary skins that are larger, it kind of messes with the game. So I would say if you are playing Pathfinder right now and you have those legendary bigger skins, run them. The reason why is because it doesn't actually work properly. And then lastly over here, the Lifeline drone is actually nerfed over here. So you can't really throw it in the storm anymore. It's damaged after 2 ticks by the circle. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen where Pathfinders will sit outside and they'll just be taking damage over and over, but the drone is actually just going to be healing them. This is more so, I think, for competitive play as a change, because I've seen a lot of people do that towards the very end. They'll just get into an area where the other person will just lose because the other person has the healing drone. It's pretty dirty. They also added a stats page, so that's kind of cool, but again, some of the stuff is kind of small, so I'm not going to go over it, but the ring damage has actually been changed, and I think this is kind of important. So we're just going to go by rounds. So 2%, 5%, 10%, 20%, 20%, and then 25% extra damage per taken. And then the ring closing speed and the start speed is just changed. I'm not going to say first, second, third, fourth. It's just going to be... it starts closing after 3, then it takes 2 minutes to close. Starts closing after 2:30. 2 minutes to close. So basically just a small change over here to make it get faster and faster. And again, if you guys want to read all of these, I will link it down below. But then there's some quality of life pings changes, but again, I just feel like they're very small, like as far as like ping certain things. And to me, it's not like a huge thing that I really wanted to mention in the video, and so I'll just leave that down below and the description box again with all of the patch notes. But anyways, that's it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing all of those patch notes, because I didn't know that Gibraltar and Cossack got changed. That 5%, again, that's like 1 or 2 bullets, and sometimes early on in the game, that could be a huge deal. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. And if you're new here and want to be up to date on all the latest Apex new patches, and as well as different changes in the game, hit the subscribe button, turn on that bell, and you'll definitely be notified when there's new patch notes to go ahead and go over. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Have a good one. And let me know your thoughts on the patch notes changes. Do you guys like them? Do you guys dislike them? For me, overall, I like a lot of the changes. I'm really enjoying Season 2, but I hope they really just add a lot more content to this game in the upcoming weeks. I would really like to see a new hero as well. I know it just came out as far as Watson, but man, she's definitely passive, and I like to play a little bit more aggressive. But let me know your thoughts on Watson down below too. I think she's just too passive for me because I was testing her out. But anyways, we'll have to wait and see how the metagame evolves and if they add any new changes later down the line. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.